Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It's that time of the week again where I give you my hot picks from last week's new comic book day, and this will be shorter than usual.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
If you have seen what I said on social media about New Comic Book Day last week, my shop was closed because the owner was sick, so I went and picked up a few books from the other shop in town that I hit up from time to time. So I've got 5 of the books that I read from last week that I'll give some flash reviews on and tell you why you should check these titles out if you didn't already. So coming in at number 5 is Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality, number 5 from Marvel Comics. This is written by Peter David, Greg Land, Jay Leister, and Frank D'Amarta. This is the conclusion to the Alien Reality storyline. So it's functionally the second arc of Symbiote Spider-Man. The first one was all entirely focused on, but this is functionally the second part of the Symbiote Spider-Man storyline. This book is all about fighting for their escape in the battle against Nowhere. So you've got Peter Parker and slightly less homeless looking Doctor Strange battling Nowhere to Nightmare to fix their reality. And what I found the funniest, and I mentioned this in Comic Burrito's live stream last week on Wednesday or Thursday, is there are a couple of panels that are dedicated to explaining that if essentially what is attempting to happen in this book is a retcon, that Mordo is attempting to erase himself and a lot of other things from reality. And Peter Parker has to explain to Doctor Strange what a retcon is. And while that's happening, we get someone playing some paddleball. And I think that's just, it's funny to me. I like these kind of tongue-in-cheek nods, especially while they're like, this is clearly a retcon too. But the other thing that I just really appreciated about this story is some nostalgia porn in the art. I'm not going to kind of give the context to this panel in case you haven't read the book yet, but I just like a lot of the nods to some classic moments from Marvel history, from Spider-Man history, in terms of helping Peter Parker in his battle against Nightmare or Mordo. But I really liked this one a lot. Coming in at number 4 is Rogue Planet number 3. This is from Oni Press, and it's by Cullen Bunn, Nick Filardi, and Andy McDonald. This is just continuing to be the wild world of Cullen Bunn horror tales, but in space. Basically, what we are seeing throughout most of this book is not the big kind of monsters that we saw in book 1 and 2, but we are seeing the interaction between the crew members and the native alien population to the planet or comet that they've landed on. And we see sacrificial rituals. We see some drug-induced hallucinations to make the crew feel safe. And then things just kind of get wild as a B team shows up on the planet. Coming in at number 3 is That Texas Blood number 2 by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. It's from Image. This is essentially a massive shift away from some of the things that we see in book 1. In book 1, we get the lovely trope about the casserole dish, and maybe this would have come in at number 2 if we would have had that key second appearance of Casserole Dish. But we're starting to learn a little bit more about the history of the town that a brother of a man who was presumably murdered comes to visit, comes to maybe pick up the pieces and put things back together. The rest of the town kind of actively shuns him. He gets kicked out of a diner. He is slammed into his hotel room. He is done checking in, and everybody wants to know how quickly he'll be gone. It was really, really fun on last Thursday afternoon listening to Oscar and Chris from Lost in Comics interview Chris and Jacob. So if you didn't check that interview out, I'll try and put a little pop-in card thing, right? The bloop, go watch this interview. Because it was fun to just listen to them talk about comics. And these two dudes are incredibly young, and to see not just how talented they are, but how solid the book is, makes me very, very hopeful for the future. So here's where you get the first reappearance of the brother back into the town, and you're seeing some open moments of hostility. He ends up getting picked up by the sheriff and kind of de facto questioned to see if he really knows what is going on with, his brother's situation. So definitely going to keep pulling this book. I'm excited. I've mentioned that I collect both the A and the B cover on this book just because I like the contrast between the two of them. That was the B cover, and when I go to my main LCS on Wednesday to pick up books from last week and this week, I'll have the A cover with the flashlight. Coming in at number 2 is Dead Body Road number 2. This is from Image Skybound. This is by Justin Jordan, Benjamin Tiesma, and Matt Lopez. This is a book that I missed the first issue coming out on, this is a book where I missed issue number 1 coming out, and I picked up both of them on Wednesday because I wanted to check out some things that I wasn't pulling from my primary LCS. So I decided to pick this one up. I did not read the first Dead Body Road storyline, but from what I understand, it's pretty dang good. And also from my understanding is that you don't necessarily need to understand 100% of what happened in Dead Body Road to jump in on what happened in Bad Blood. So essentially, our main character's world falls to pieces at the end of book number 1, and she decides to kind of blow the dust off of her life as, I'm assuming, a contract killer to help her brother out of a situation. And this episode, okay, I'll be up in a second. This book is literally all about retribution and fighting back for the burning of the bar to the ground and other things that happen in book 1. I am enjoying, I'm enjoying this title. I'm sad that I missed the first one. Todd from Comic Burrito has been telling everybody that they should read Dead Body Road, and I finally listened to him. I really like Dead Body Road, Bad Blood number 1 and number 2, and I know that I need to check out the original series, and I intend to do that soon. Coming in at number 1 this week is an Image comic. It is Lost Soldiers number 1, and this is book 1 of 5 as it notes on the cover. It's written by Ailes Cott, Luca Casalanguida, Heather Marie Lawrence Moore, Adita Bidikar, and Tom Muller. This book literally got me hooked from the interior work on the front cover, where they use an iconic quote from Bell Hooks in terms of looking at how men in a patriarchal system are drawn into violent behaviors to prove their masculinity, and that's what ends up creating the bad conditions that go down the road. So in this number 1, we meet a core group of soldiers while they are in Vietnam, and they get stuck in a live firefight, and not everybody really survives. But then there's a quick jump in time in terms of looking at planning for some kind of incursion into Mexico. And what I really kind of enjoyed about this is you're seeing new young soldiers and then the old guard, the lost soldiers from the Vietnam bit at the beginning, and you're seeing the effects that, you know, fighting in Vietnam had for them, but you're also looking at the impact that these men who look like they're in their 60s, maybe even 70s at this point, you're looking at the long-standing psychological effects that war had, relationship effects, spiritual effects, anything that, you know, necessarily, you know, damages people, because, as you know, we most famously here said a lot, war is hell. The other thing that I like about this book is it kind of has a Space Cowboys feel to it. If you remember that, that's the movie where Clint Eastwood and a bunch of other old astronauts get sent on a mission, and I think it's to like blow up a comet that is headed in the direction of Earth. It's in the same vein as like Deep Impact and Armageddon. But I like this notion of seeing the old guard brought into very modern settings or situations to deal with a threat. But I also like the traumatic flashbacks to their presumably their first experience in war with Vietnam. So I really like what's going on in here. The art is also really cool, especially when you are getting into some of the, you know, back history moments that aren't a jump back in time to learn about Vietnam, but like someone having a flashback. That I just like the discoloration as someone kind of mentally gets lost because they are triggered by something that happened around them. So these were my top 5 picks of the week. As always, let me know if you think there was something that should have been in the rankings that wasn't. Remember, I was picking from a limited week that the only things that I didn't put in the top 5 this week were the 2 Turtles books and Pulp. Pulp I've heard is amazing. I just haven't read it yet because I've been playing catch up on Turtles. But we'll be back in full force with more books and you know, the usual heavy list that I'll have to go, damn, I need to pick books. Well, here's our top 18 and I read 18 books. I don't know. But we'll see what I get on New Comic Book Day this week. And as always, you can check out early reviews of these things on my blog that I'm posting the Poser Points reviews on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of any given week. So if you want to see my thoughts on what I'm reading, both good and bad, before you see the video on Monday, that's where you go to check it out. So as always, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Yeah.
Bing bong.
Yes, Joy.
I'm ready to go to the mouse.